Hi friends, welcome to Aisha's DIY. Today we will design a necklace using bargain bead box subscription for the month of April 2023. I pulled out this it's a little bit heavy, this pendant, and then this matte beads, and then obviously the color treated or dyed, not natural rose quartz, and then this glass beads in 6 millimeter. So we have three different sizes to work with, and I know this is not like a very coordinated color, but I really want to use everything. So I'm gonna plan like 2.5 strand. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but that's what I wanted to do. 2.5 strands. I have a design in mind, which is probably not a good idea to actually design in mind rather than design on some paper or something, so that you'll have a clear idea. So what I'm gonna do here is just take a piece of paper that's lying here on my desk, and then so what is the pattern I want to do is 2 strands. Okay, you can either connect these two strands or you can do individually, that's up to you. But here is going to be our pendant, but this strand I wanted one more, but only for a short distance, and then connect it here with the spacer bead or something, so it will be like this essentially. So this is the pattern I want to work with, but either I can do the bigger beads here and then smaller beads here and smaller beads here, or I can do the bigger beads in the middle all the way in the 3 strands and then do the smaller beads on the side. So this is what my thought process is. So I'm gonna anyways cut all the beads. So this matte color is like a peachish color, but if you think about it, your pendant is also rose quartz. This is a real one, I think. I mean, this is natural. This is not heat treated or dyed, and this one is heat treated and dyed, and the color difference is so much. So anyways, even if you put this one with this, it will look a little bit different. So if you bring in this matte color, it wouldn't look so bad. It would look okay to me. Like if you take away these dark peach color beads and everything is light color for you, but we don't have this many beads to work with if I am doing 3 strands, and I can't afford to work with more beads because we have a few like it won't go for 3 strands. You can just keep it and see that even though if you add a spacer or so, it will not go for 3 strands, is what my thinking is. So that won't work. The other way is a different way, but it is a very uncommon way, or looking at it, I don't know how it will look. So I'm going to do the uncommon way, because the regular way we have done several necklaces with that. So I'm just thinking that because I can't add 3 strands of beads here, of the bigger one. So I'm just going to add on this side. Okay, this is going to be the smaller strands, and that's going to be on the side, but I need to figure it out, how I'm going to do it exactly. Let's do the inner strand first, because this has two strands in it. So we will do the inner strand first, and then we'll come back to the outer strand. So first of all, I'm going to take this bead stringing wire. This is 0.45 millimeter thickness. It's a 7-strand bead stringing wire. There we go. So I'm gonna start stringing my beads. You can use any bead stringing wire that you have available in your stash. Anything will work. And I also have the spacer beads here. You can also use the clasp if you want to, the toggle clasp that comes with the box, but I'm not gonna use that. So I'm going to maybe use these two. These ones I have a different thing in mind, but let's see if I want to use this or not. I had a different. The thing is, these beads are not same, as you guys can see. See this this one, the petal is cut in deeply on both sides. This one is more rounded, as you guys can see. See, it's not cut through really nicely, it's more rounded. So I can't make a earrings. I thought I will make earrings first. I had a design in mind, but since it was different, I'm not convinced to do that. So let's see if I can include those two beads in our design as well. So now let's design the middle first, which I always do. So if I'm not going to use the darker peach color, maybe this one is fine. These two are not fine. Yeah, I mean, these two colors I will save, and I have the bigger ones here. Okay, now I need to separate the colors with it, because what happens is, like, we need to have a balance. This is a delicate one, this necklace, just because the fact that it is a different color combo that is not usual, because pink and peach, we normally don't merge those together. So I'm saying I really like it, kind of, the bead caps and the spacer beads together. So the bead caps are more flat, so it doesn't matter it's a 4 millimeter or 6 millimeter. It fits for a bigger and smaller bead the same way. So here you go. You add that. I will fix the pattern and I'll come back to show you guys what I did. So as I was playing with it, I did string everything, but then I took it off. Okay, the center pattern that I wanted to repeat is this guy right here. Just the 6 millimeter glass bead and the spacer, that's about it. Then I have a bead cap here. This is the pattern that we strung already. I have to take it off, there is no choice. So what I did was I strung everything and then I took it off, and I'm going to take the middle part as well. So this is a pattern I just wanted to show you guys. So here it is, one side, just the 6 millimeter beads separated by a 10 seed bead. no, 12O glass seed beads. These are metallic gold, and this tube is from Hobby Lobby that I got. But you can also use 11O seed beads or 15O, whichever you have available. Just the gold one I have used to tie in the elements of this here. So 6mm separated by that beads, and then followed by the matte ones, and the bead caps and the bead spacers, followed all the way here. And over here, what I'm gonna do here is I just cut this about, say, I would say 20 inches of wire. I always like to work with a spool. I did work with a spool. I just cut it, just placing the necklace around my neck and figuring out the size. The size depends upon what you want. You can go as small as 16, and if it is a choker, you can go even smaller depending upon whom you are making the necklace for. I pulled out some crimp beads from my stash. These are Beadalon crimp beads. I want the crimp bead to be smaller. That's why I chose the Beadalon crimp. Normally I use the regular crimp, which is not branded and it's a lot more cheaper, but I want the thing to be small. I don't know if it is a micro crimp or, oh, this is size 0 crimp. I want a little bit bigger than that. Size 1 should be good enough, right? I'll be back. So now I add the size 1 crimp, okay, and then take my spool again, just opened up a little bit, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add it here into the crimp and through the spacer bead, through the bead cap, and through the gemstone. You can either do this or you can string 2 strands together. You can string all the beads on both the strands and then come back to this place. But here we go. So I just keep it this way. So I have a bead stopper here. This is a bead stopper, and I really like this one, and you can also use this one. This is from Dollar Tree, and this is from Beadalon. You can find it in Michael's, Joann's, everywhere. So this space I need to actually crimp, right? So to fold and crimp, I need this much distance. So I put that there. You want this distance to be exact because you're going to do the crimping. So now you add it through the crimp tube, the crimp bead and the beads, and some of the beads over there. So as long as it's a little bit in, that's fine. It's a little bit different. Now hold it this way, hold it up like this, so that you know for sure it's proper. Then you need to either flat crimp it or you can use your crimping pliers. I'm just going to use my crimping pliers here. So I'm going to use the second hole of the crimping pliers and just press it hard. See this, there's a little bit of a gap, that's okay. And then go ahead and do it in the vertical fashion. So here we go. See how nicely it goes inside the spacer bead. That's exactly what I want. That's why I use the Beadalon crimps. So it goes on top of it, so it will be invisible practically. So here is your end of your strand. Now it's nice and tight. Now I know for sure we have 2 strands here, and then I'm going to work the same design I showed you guys. I'll come back showing you guys how it is done. So here you go. I added the beads in the strand, one of the strand. I added just the 12 bead seed bead, just one there, and I need to add for the second strand as we speak. So I'm just going to keep this necklace in a U format so that I know exactly how much I need to cut for the center strand. So the center stand should be somewhere like this. Okay, and so I'm just going to snip off a little bit, like 2 or 3 inches more, if not a little bit more, because you can never add um, wire later. So now I'm going to take 2 seed beads. So at this point again I put a bead stopper here, right, so that it doesn't move. Okay, so now I'm just going to push the 2 seed beads here, because it needs to come down a bit, so there needs to be some space. So now if you keep the next strand, it doesn't look it looks perfectly coming down. So I'm going to follow the same pattern that I followed in the inner strand as well, and I'm going to thread in all the beads. It's kind of a different necklace. It's not as like a usual pattern, but as designers, some people like to be asymmetrical as much as possible. Some like to be symmetrical as much as possible because they cannot work with asymmetry. It has to be a balance. I am somewhere in the middle. I mostly feel that it needs to be symmetrical, but I also understand the design element that sometimes being different is beautiful as well, as you say. So it's kind of your your take on the beads and the pattern. If you really like asymmetrical necklace, I would go ahead and go stretch your imagination, and you can go as wild as possible is what my thinking is. But for some reason I just tend to hold myself a little bit. I'm not that comfortable doing it, but I also like a little bit of asymmetry in my patterns so that we can stand out, right? Making handmade jewelry is not just it's a soul satisfying thing, and something you are making it. You're an artist, you're a designer at that point of time, and you need to set your design apart from other people so that you can stand out. But I wouldn't say, oh my god, I go really, really out of the comfort zone of mine and then, try different items. But I tend to try a little bit different at least. But sometimes, given the fact that we are working with a bead box as such, not like a design, oh my god, you can check out a design online and you really like the design and then you want to work with the design, exact design that you looked at it, and then you buy beads for it. That's a different ball game altogether. But when you're working with a bead box, you have a set of colors that somebody else have chosen for you, and then you are working with it. At that point of time, you can't afford to design what is in your mind. Rather, you will have to design what it is given to you, right? The palette is already there. The palette is already there. The patterns is already, means the findings is already there. You will have to work with the colors inside the box. I like to work with the beads inside the box and not going outside, just because of the fact that if somebody is starting to learn jewelry making and they buy this bargain bead box every month because it's economical and you get a lot of variety things. In some bead boxes we get only beads, maximum 1 or 2 findings, but in the, I mean, 1 or 2, like literally 1 or 2 findings. But in this, you have a pack of bead caps, you have a pack of spacer beads, you have toggle clasp, you have findings, you have ear wires. So it's like a it's like a total package. The package is nice and diversified, so there is a variety in it. So so when you start, it's economical to buy these boxes, and then they won't have a whole lot of backup materials with them. So if they want to follow my design, they should be able to. That's the only reason I'm using just the box. Otherwise we can think out of the box. But also I really like the challenge. Normally you don't, if you have all the materials, so you can work up with the materials, and then if you don't like the color, you can change the color. If you don't like the findings, you can change the findings. But in this case, I like to use my stash as minimum as possible. For a person who just buys this bargain bead box, they should be able to actually follow up this design and make it for them if they want to. So now I am just checking it out. See, I really like the distance between these two strands. This is what exactly I would want. And then just looking at this design, yeah, there we go. So don't pull the strands very tightly, because there is only certain level of because we don't have a bigger spacer bead. This spacer bead, the hole is not so big, but it actually hides the crimp bead when it is crimped, which is good. So I really like this, and I just want to push everything together and see if I like the gap between these two, which I do. Now is the time I can add my crimp bead. So I'm taking the spacer off. It's just going to be the seed beads, and then I'm going to continue with my crimp bead. Add both the strands on top of the crimp bead, and then bring it all the way down. There we go. See, it tends to crisscross between the crimp bead, so make sure that it doesn't crisscross. Otherwise, when you're doing the crimping technique, it doesn't hold tightly as much. So here we go. I'll just a little bit zoom in a little bit more for you guys to see. I'm not forcing it down as I would like to, because I really want a little bit of space. I don't want this to be stiff, and also you need a little bit space to crimp. So hold your cords nice and parallel. See this? It kind of goes crisscross. So make yourself space to do that, to hold it parallel. Then go ahead. The second hole is where there is two holes in the crimping pliers. The bottom hole is the one which we are going to use, or the hole towards the pliers is the one that we will use first, and then the top hole. The bottom hole is used in this direction. So here we go. The wires are running parallel. So now I go ahead with the second hole, and then keep it right in between. Keep the bead right in between the hole, and then just give it a press, just like that. This will separate the crimp bead like a what to say, kidney bean shape. And then now you go ahead with the top hole vertically this way, okay, perpendicular to the wire. And now you go ahead and squish that bead down. So now the first time the bead is crushed like this, and the second time the bead will be crushed like this. The first time like this, the second time in a different way. Let me show you guys. When you do the first hole, the two wires are there and the bead is right there. The first time it will be crushed like this, right? The second time these ends will be crushed like this, basically. So that's how it It makes it look like a bead rather than, you know. So this is the purpose of the crimping plier. If you crimp it flat, it just makes it flat. The round bead is crushed into flat, but this way it's different. Now I will zoom out a bit. Take your spacer bead, let it go right on top of both the wires, and now bring that down. I'll just push the bead a little bit more. Ideally I want that to come on top, the bead to come on top of the crimp bead, but for some reason it's not going. Maybe I should try a different spacer. There we go. Yeah, there it is. It covers that. Now I start stringing my beads. First the spacer bead. Make sure the direction is proper, and then let's continue with our pattern here. There we go. So this gemstone bead, the matte ones, have big enough holes that it can comfortably accommodate both the wires without any problems. So I will continue stringing and I'll come back once I'm done with it. So now I have finished stringing it. Here I have strung like 7 beads, but I don't have enough wire. That happens all the time for me. But so I'm just going to keep 5 of the beads, and the distance, the necklace length seems to be good enough for me to wear it around my neck, so that's a good thing. Now I'm going to add crimp tube or crimp bead, whichever you want. You can use the toggle clasp as well, but since I'm using this strand and one more strand on top of this necklace is going to be a layered necklace, like and I don't want to connect this strand and the next strand together. I'm going to use a lobster claw clasp. So as I said, you can use any clasp you want, but a big lobster claw, I'm running out of it actually. This is the one which is most comfortable. Since I'm planning to use this big clasp which is in my stash in the front of the next layer of the beaded necklace, I'm just going to use a smaller lobster claw clasp with an extended chain. For now, I would say I'm going to do an extended chain with this. Not a big deal. You can also use the chain that you got in the box, but this is a little bit dull color than our gold findings. So I'm just gonna, you can use about say 3 inches of extender, chain extender. I'm just eyeballing it, cutting 2 pieces of chain. And I'm gonna use this closed ring that I have available in my stash. I'm really paranoid if I use open jump rings, so I'm using this closed ring. This is a little bit darker color, but that's what I have, so I'm gonna use that. So you can either directly add it to this, or you can add this and then open up this link. This link is small, but still you can open it with the 2 sets of pliers, and then you can use that. So when I'm going to wear this necklace, this has no front or back, so you can use it, you can add the lobster claw and the closure on the jump ring in any way you want. But if it is a front and a back, you would always want, if a person is right-handed, you want the lobster claw clasp to sit on the right, and then the jump ring or the extended chain to sit on the left. So, and vice versa if they are left-handed. So keep that in mind while designing your necklace. All these teeny tiny things matter the most when you're making handmade jewelry, because we are custom designing for our customers. And also, I'm gonna take my handy dandy crimping tube. This is very less expensive and not branded, and we can do flat crimp with this. And since it's in the back, I use this instead of the regular beadlon crimps. It's a little bit expensive, and also I like to use it whenever I need it. So it's just my preference. You can think otherwise and use otherwise. So add your crimp tube and this ring of yours. Okay. And then come back. Okay. The crimp tube is actually going through the 6mm bead. That's going to be a little bit tough to work with. So add the crimp tube, the jump ring. Already my wire is very small, so I hold it with my fingers, bring those with my pliers into the crimp tube. Okay. So now carefully hold the tip of the wire and pull it towards your design. That way the loop will be shortened. Hold the end and pull it a little bit down, and then make the loop shorter. If you have cut your wire a little bit more, not like me, then this should be a breeze to work with. If not, this is what happens. There we go. Pull it out. Then I'm just pulling the crimp bead down towards my bead. That way the loop is bigger. Now I hold the jump ring and then pull myself to make the loop smaller. So again, do the same. Hold the jump ring and then pull. Pull nice and tight. Let's bring down the crimp tube again. And now there we go. So I really need a little bit of a distance, so I'm just going to make sure the wire is parallel inside and then flat crimp it. There's a little bit of a distance which I really want it. Otherwise your necklace will be very flat or stiff or rigid, so it won't lay smooth like this. It'll be very rigid because there is no space for the beads to move. Take your wire cutters and cut the wire as close to the work as possible. Now you can see my loop just right there. Now I can add this chain to this ring with the help of a jump ring, or you can do it with the opening up this loop, but this chain is very small in my opinion. So I'm just going to have a smaller jump ring, which happens to be this for me, to add this to this, and then probably I will add one more jump ring at the end as well. That jump ring needs to be a little bit bigger so that it's easy for us to actually put our lobster claw clasp on. I'm picking up 2 for the other side as well. So there is one more thing we need to do. We can directly add this to the lobster claw, or you can add a jump ring, but I really like to add it to the lobster claw as well directly. Why not, right? Much more safer. Go ahead and put your wire through the crimp tube and the bead. See how easy it goes, and you just hold the end with your pliers and pull. So this is how easy it will be if you had a little bit, if I had a little bit of wire on the other side as well. I always miscalculate and I go smaller on the wire. You should practice what you preach, right? There we go. Pull that and then make it nice. You need a little bit of a loop here because you want the lobster claw to move freely, right? There we go. And then one more thing, I have only 5 beads here, and I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 beads. I'm glad that I caught that before crimping it, otherwise the necklace would be different on one side. Open up, take it off, 2 more beads, right, and also the seed bead. Now we have sufficient space to work with the wire. There we go. Now come back through the crimp tube and a bead. Hold the end with your pliers. You can use your needle nose or tweezer nose pliers. Like in my case, I have my tweezer nose. I really like this Xuron pliers. It's my favorite to work with. They are very nice and soft. They are not heavy, and it is your hands don't get tired. I have bought a wire cutter as well, Xuron wire cutters, which I haven't started using it yet, but slowly steadily I want to replace my pliers to Xuron, so that they are pretty expensive. I'm not pretty expensive, but they are expensive, much more expensive than our regular pliers. So I tend to splurge when I can, and not always. Just making sure that this gap is nice and filled, and still I want to be able to see my crimp tube. Here we go. Hold like that and crimp it and snip off the excess wire. Ideally, I would like to thread the bead stringing wire through a bead or 2 to make sure that's nice and secure. There we go. It's done pretty much. Now you can actually clasp it to this jump ring. But if you want to add the extended chain, all you need to do is take 2 sets of pliers. One is this bent nose pliers and my tweezer nose pliers. Take the smaller jump ring, open it up, open it up, open it up. You need to prep it. It's on top of each other. I want these 2 ends to meet each other. Want the jump ring to be perfect before you start putting it in your work. Now that's closed completely. So now open it and add it to this closed jump ring, and then add the chain to it, and then close this. Okay, and now here I take the bigger jump ring. See that the wires are on top of each other where they end. So we need to prep it by opening it up, back and forth, so that they don't meet each other, just like that. Then make sure they're completely closed, just like so. Now open this up, add it to the end of the chain. If you wanted to wear it bigger, you can wear it. There is an option here. So now I'm just going to go ahead and clasp this lobster claw to the closed jump ring and leave the extended chain be it. So this is our inner strand of the necklace. I wanted this to be detached, but in case if you want to just wear this, you can wear. There is an option here. Or if you want to wear the next strand of necklace as well together, then it will form a complete layer. So the next strand, just going to take myself again some bead stringing wire, and then start figuring it out a pattern with these beads. I don't have the 6mm enough 6mm beads, but I do have these 8mm beads, so I'm just going to use those and then make a pattern. And also the spacer beads is also a little bit less. I don't have any more of the caps, bead caps. So what I'm going to do here is use the spacer bead in the middle of the necklace and then use the seed beads for the rest. I'll come back after I'm done. So I have strung this much. I separated the big 8mm beads, the pink one, into half. I have half of the beads for the other side, and I also separated the 6mm beads into half, and I have here. The thing is, I added some beads here, and then I followed by the 6mm, a little patch, and then I have 5 of the big beads, 8mm here. I have the seed bead here. So the outer layer of the necklace has 2 clasps. One is with this a big clasp that I showed you guys in the start that I want to use in this pattern. I know I have a oval ring as well, but I don't know if I'm going to use that. So I want this to be in the center, and then this pendant attached to the to this clasp. So the clasp will be this way, and I want the pendant to be, so this won't go through this because it gets bigger and bigger here, and we want the direction also to be different. So I'm gonna add jump rings to achieve that. I'm going to take a different jump ring, like a thicker one that I made myself, because I don't want to, lose the, but this one is a little bit different, but that's okay. I think I will use that for this side to attach this to this, maybe. I don't know, but this one is big to me, the looks of it. I should try, but that's okay. This clasp is a little bit big, so it should work. So this way, I think I still feel that this one is bigger. Maybe I use a double jump ring to hold this in place. But I shall use this ring to close down this way. Just need to know how it fits here. So here we go. So I want this to stay like this. I think it will. Okay. Now this is my handy dandy jump ring roll tool that I have set. I really like this storage container. It's individual, at the same time you have all the sizes here. I wish I have all these different metal jump rings in the same pattern. Actually, you get that in BB Craft, I don't know, in AliExpress for sure. I opened a jump ring and I'm adding it to the pendant, a big jump ring. So this is, I think, 8mm. Another one too. Open it up, prep it, go back and forth, let it touch each other perfectly, so that's nice and closed. Now add this to the loop of the pendant and close it. Now what I will do is I will add this to the clasp here. So in this case, if you don't want the pendant and if you want to change the pendant, you can change the pendant as well. So I take this seed bead off. I'm gonna take a crimp tube in my wire and I'm gonna add this to this ring that I have here. If you want, you can have a lobster claw clasp at this point of time, which we have available in the box. So here we go, it's all the way in the take the jump ring, come back through the crimp tube, see this, it crisscrosses each other, so make sure it's parallel and pull it all the way down towards the ring. If you are using toggle, then the toggle bar, go ahead and crimp it flat. Once you have that, you can pull up the beads and see if it goes on top of, both the strand will fit through the seed bead or not. It doesn't, so that's okay, just the 8mm. And then you can snip off the excess wire with your wire cutters. There we go. Now just need to make sure that everything comes out properly. I have my I still work with the spool, so I have a whole lot of wire out of the spool. You can just tape your spool like this so that it has a space to hold on to. And now move all the beads down. This is what I have so far. Right now, I want this to be like this, and this I wanted to add it to this ring because I want to see how it lays flat. There we go. I kind of like it. So from here on, I'm going to continue adding the strands. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to see if the length is big enough for our necklace to layer. So here we go. If it comes in the middle like that, it's more than enough, but I don't want it to be a little bit more. So anyways, I'm just going to snip off my wire at this point of time at this length, and then I'm going to put a bead stopper right there and leave this right here, and I'm going to take my bead stringing wire again, take a crimp tube, depending upon the wire, the size of the wire, the crimp tube also differs. Just keep that in mind. You can add it here, but I will string this beads first, so that will be easy. Still I can work with this spool. Then I'll come back once I'm done. Let's finish this necklace. I strung the entire necklace here, and I'm gonna take my crimp tube and go through this loop, then come back. There we go. Make sure there is enough gap in the loop for the lobster claw clasp to be moving. So here we go, making sure the wires are not crisscrossed inside the crimp tube, and then go ahead and push it all the way here. Let me see. Yeah, and crush the crimp bead to crimp it flat. You can just snip off a little bit more, because I know for sure it won't go through the seed bead twice. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the gemstone on top. It fits properly, and then move all the beads down to your work, and now you can snip it off and see the length of the necklace. So if you look at the big picture, when you are wearing the necklace with the adjustment chain and you're using the jump ring at the end of the adjustment chain to wear this necklace, this height of the necklace is perfect. If it is made a little bit shorter, then it is not. So I'm just going to assume that I'm going to wear it in the lengthwise and then do it. If not, it will be a little bit more distance between these two. It's totally up to you. You can reduce the number of beads that you put in, and then add an adjustment chain here as well, and then make it the same size as this. We can do that. So anyways, I will cut the wire off right here, and now if you want to make this smaller, and then I shall show you guys the bigger picture. See, this is perfect, right? If it is worn at the full length, and if the adjustment chain is not taken into account, then it will be smaller, which will be this. So the necklace will be like this. It will be way too, there will be a lot more space in between the first and the second. It's totally up to you. I shall go wear them and see, and then I'll come back and decide what I want. So I finished this necklace the same way I finished the other one. So I added only the small lobster claw clasp just because it's not actually needed. You can open it up in the front and wear it. But in case if you want to wear this necklace all by itself, and if you want to wear it a little bit longer than what it is, then I have added the adjustment chain as well. But if not, and this is how it looks. This is how you would wear this necklace as a set. If not, you can wear this separately, it's totally up to you. But I hope you guys like this necklace. If you do, give it some thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. I just bunched those two words up and said something else. Okay, like, subscribe and share with your friends and family and whomever you think that might like this. And especially if you are subscribed to Bargain Bead Box, then you'll have the same materials to work with. I will leave down the description box below the link for Bargain Bead Box subscription. I am not sponsored or I don't get benefited anything with that, but I just want you guys to know where I source these materials from. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye bye.